In Exeter, Rhode Island, on April 12, 1987, the Rhode Island State Police were called to a home for a report of an 11-year-old girl and a 13-year-old girl who were forced into the woods at knife point and sexually assaulted by an adult male unknown to them. The assault occurred in a rural and wooded area in the vicinity of one of the girls' homes. A large-scale investigation was initiated by the Rhode Island State Police. Physical evidence was developed to include the suspected DNA profile of the offender from a sexual assault evidence collection kit. This evidence was preserved and used to compare with several possible suspects developed throughout the years who were then excluded as contributors to the DNA sample. The investigation turned into a cold case due to a lack of new leads. In 2005, with the advent of the Combined DNA Index System, CODIS, an attempt to solve the case was made, but no new leads were generated. Once entered into CODIS, the unknown DNA sample was continuously searched against new entries into the database. In 2019, Special Victims Unit, SVU, detectives reopened the case. The Rhode Island State Police Forensic Services Unit with the Rhode Island Department of Health re-examined the physical evidence and researched and initiated a request for genetic genealogy. In August of 2022, SVU detectives received an investigative lead that the suspect was likely one of 3 brothers originally from Erie County, New York, all with various military service. Detectives worked with the Naval Criminal Investigative Service, NCIS, and learned that the oldest brother, Frank Tease, with no previous known ties to Rhode Island, had reported to the Naval Justice School, Newport, Rhode Island, the day prior to the assault. With the assistance of the Indiana State Police, a discarded sample of Frank Tease's DNA was obtained, tested, and found to be a match consistent to the suspected DNA profile of the offender. The case was presented to a statewide grand jury resulting in an indictment. On Wednesday, October 19, 2022, the Indiana State Police placed Frank Tease into custody as a fugitive from justice and held him pending extradition to Rhode Island. On Thursday, November 17, 2022, 66-year-old Frank Joseph Tease appeared for his arraignment at Washington Superior Court on charges of 1 count of first-degree sexual assault and 2 counts of child molestation. He pled not guilty to the charges.
Rhode Island State Police make an arrest in a violent sexual assault case involving 2 girls in Exeter.
That's right. The suspect was found all the way in Indiana and extradited back to Rhode Island. NBC 10's Katie Benoit is following late developments from Washington County Court. Katie?
Dan and Patrice, I spoke to some neighbors who lived in the area back when this crime happened decades ago. They say they're glad that a suspect has finally been caught. State police say it's thanks to DNA evidence.
State police cars were everywhere.
Peter and Claire Northrup recalling the day an 11-year-old and a 13-year-old were sexually assaulted at knife point in the woods off of Stony Lane in Exeter. The crime happened more than 30 years ago in 1987, but the fear of the attacker still out there lingered for residents.
I was scared stiff because I had 3 children at the time and they were all young and I was worried about my children.
After years of searching, state police have arrested 66-year-old Frank Thies from Indiana. He's been indicted by a grand jury on 1 count of first-degree sexual assault and 2 counts first-degree child molestation sexual assault. Police say DNA was recovered from clothing, but the case had gone cold. Recently, that DNA was sent to a genetic genealogy lab.
On that, they had produced a profile saying that it was somebody in the defendant's immediate family. They found that this defendant was stationed at the naval base in Newport just the day before this incident.
Police in Indiana were able to get a DNA sample from Thies, which was a match to the profile found at the scene. Neighbors on the quiet Stony Lane thankful police didn't give up.
It's amazing after all these years and of course what DNA evidence, how far it's come over the years.